Those cameras didn't just catch shoplifters. They tracked everyone, every plate, every time, every entrance, how long they stayed. The mall manager called it security. I called a gold mine the first time a guy offered me cash for a single lookup. I worked mall security, not the heroic kind. The kind where you sit in a little room behind the loading dock, drink burnt coffee, watch feeds, and get yelled at because a kiosk vendor thinks a teenager looked suspicious. We had a newer system, LPR cameras at each driveway tied into the CCTV grid. You typed a plate, and the software spit out a neat timeline, stills, timestamps, which entrance, how long it sat in a section, sometimes even make or model guesses. It felt like cheating. It also felt like nothing. The first time it was stupid. A contractor I'd seen around, badge that didn't match ours, always hanging near the maintenance hall, started venting to me on a smoke break. Said his ex was lying, said he just needed to know if she'd been there. I told him I couldn't run plates for personal stuff. He looked at me like I was blocking the door to oxygen. Then he asked what it would take. Gift cards were my bright idea. No cash on camera. No bank transfers. No paper trail, I told myself. He slid me a grocery store card and a plate number on a torn receipt. I went back inside, waited for my coworker to do a patrol loop, and ran it. One click, and I knew exactly when that car entered, which lane, where it parked, and when it left. I told myself it was harmless. He just wants to find his wife. He just needs a plate for insurance. Easy lies. I took payment through gift cards. I did lookups after hours. I watched names turn into patterns. Women who came alone, who parked far, who left late. At night, the mall changes. Gates down, music off, hallways echo, and the cameras feel like they belong to you. I'd sit there with the keyboard light on my hands, scrolling timelines like I was playing detective. Tuesday, 6:52. Thursday, 9:18. Saturday, 12:03. Same corner of the lot, always the far end by the garden center. Always alone. It hit some gross switch in my brain, curiosity with teeth. When the dots lined up, I felt smart. When they didn't, I felt annoyed, like the person was failing to follow the script I'd built in my head. The manager fed that sickness hard. He loved the system because it made him feel in control. He didn't care about privacy at all. He cared about liability and optics, and he'd chew my ass if I wrote anything that sounded like a real problem. If a fight broke out, he'd tell us to write altercation. If someone got groped, he'd ask if we could keep it internal. When cops showed up for something real, he'd hover and complain about bad press like blood was a marketing problem. So yeah, my moral compass wasn't exactly getting tune-up at work. The requests got bolder. One guy wanted one hit because someone dinged his door. A woman wanted to see if her boyfriend's truck was actually at the gym. Those felt like I could justify. Then it shifted into men asking about women, always with the same fake framing. Sister, ex, girl who owes me money. They didn't sound worried. They sounded hungry. And I still said yes because I liked the money and I liked being the guy with the key. Then a guy asked for a full week of a specific plate. Not one time. A schedule. I should have refused. I didn't. I printed it and handed it over in the food court bathroom like I was passing drugs. He didn't ask nicely. He found me near the kiosk and spoke like I worked for him. When I hesitated, he pressed a stack of fresh gift cards into my palm, still stuck together, and told me to stop playing. That pissed me off in the dumbest way. It made me want to prove I could do it. I went back, pulled the plate, set the date range, hit export. The report came out clean and fucking ugly. Day-by-day entry and exit times, dwell time, still shots. I watched the printer spit out my betrayal on warm paper. I didn't want him anywhere near the office, so I picked the food court bathroom because I'm apparently a genius. I shoved the pages into a folded paper towel sleeve and waited in a stall. He came in, took it left. No small talk, no thanks. Just the sound of the door and my own heartbeat in my ears. 3 days later, I saw the same car in the lot with a smashed window and blood on the door frame. Not a pool, not gore, just streaks like someone fought and got dragged. Cops taped off the row. People filmed with their phones. The mall manager complained about bad optics. I recognized it before I got close. Same make, same color. Same stupid little sticker on the back glass I remembered from the still image. The driver's window was spiderwebbed. Glass glittered on the asphalt. On the white paint near the handle were brown-red smears, and the door frame had streaks like a hand slid and failed to grip. I stood there with my badge on my chest and felt like it weighed 50 pounds, like it was branded into my skin. After the car got taped off, the mall turned into this buzzing hive of rumors. Stores opened like normal because money never stops. I heard employees whispering about some girl and kidnapping, and maybe it was domestic. I stood at my post and listened like I wasn't the one who sold the map. Customers complained that police tape ruined the vibe. The manager actually told me to redirect foot traffic so people wouldn't have to walk past the scene. I told him that was disgusting. He told me to watch my tone. While everyone rubbernecked, I went back to the office and did the one thing I swore I wouldn't do anymore. I searched the plate. It popped up with a red flag now. Police interest. Missing person connected. And my stomach went cold because it wasn't just any plate. It was the same one. The woman the guy asked me about. I stared at the screen until my eyes watered. The system showed the export too. My username. My timestamps. My printer job ID. I clicked around like a panicking idiot, looking for a delete button that didn't exist. I tried to get cute with it anyway. I searched my own username. I tried to rename the export. I tried to log in from a different terminal like that would smear the blame. The audit pane just kept updating, timestamping every frantic click. It was like watching wet footprints appear behind me as I ran. I tried to act normal at work. I walked patrols with my hands shaking in my pockets. I told kids to stop running. Every time my radio crackled, I flinched like it was a cop calling my name. The mall manager cornered me and asked if I'd said anything to the police. He reminded me about one voice. Like the missing woman was a PR issue and not a person. I snapped at him and he threatened to write me up. I almost laughed in his face because I'd already stepped off the cliff. That night, I got an email from an address that looked like corporate, quarterly compliance review. Provide your export history. Attached was a screenshot of my own logins, circled. Next line, don't get moral now, bitch. It wasn't spam. It was someone telling me they could see me. Someone had grabbed my audit trail and turned it into a threat. I sat on my couch with my shoes still on, rereading it until the words stopped looking like English. I kept thinking about the bathroom, about how easy it was to hand over a week of someone's life for a handful of plastic cards. I kept thinking about how, if I'd never sold that schedule, I'd be asleep right now, still telling myself I was helping people, still acting like I wasn't part of it. In the morning, I drove to the police station and told them everything before I could talk myself out of it. I didn't try to sanitize it. I handed over my phone, the messages, the gift cards, the times I ran the searches, the email, all of it. They asked who the guy was. I had a description and nothing else. They asked if I understood what I'd done. I did, finally, and that understanding felt like swallowing a broken bottle. It hurt like fuck. I went to the cops and confessed. I handed over texts, payments, everything. They asked why I did it. I didn't have a clean answer. I wanted money, and I liked the control, and I told myself I wasn't the one hurting anyone. Work blew up my phone. The manager left voicemails that started angry and ended scared. Corporate security showed up not long after. Not to comfort anybody, but to lock down access and ask how many other people had export rights. The manager acted shocked, like he hadn't spent months pushing results and calling privacy soft. My coworker texted me asking what the hell was going on. I didn't answer because I didn't trust myself not to scream. I don't know what happened to her. The detectives didn't tell me details. Maybe they couldn't. Maybe they didn't want me collecting them like punishment. I know her plate is burned into my head. I know I helped make her predictable. I helped turn her into a schedule somebody could plan around. I don't work that job anymore. I don't even park at that mall. I still see license plates and feel that ugly little spark, curiosity, access, power. And I hate myself for how natural it feels, like I train my brain to treat people as trackable meat. I had the keypad code, the app, the schedule, everything controlled and boring. That's why I liked it. I walked in at noon with trash bags and a cart, already thinking about my next job. I was on autopilot, counting minutes, already bracing for the owner's usual texts about lint on the baseboards. I kicked the door shut with my heel, parked the cart by the entry console, and did that quick scan I always do. What's missing, what's broken, what can they blame on me later? The place looked half cleaned, towels folded wrong, a mug rinsed and set out like someone wanted it to look normal. The bed was stripped, but the sheets were bunched in the corner instead of bagged. It smelled like lemon spray over something warmer, human. I assumed the last guest was just messy until I heard the shower turn on in the back bathroom. Not pipes settling, not a drip, a full-on shower. The fan kicked on and the sound filled the unit like it had been waiting for me. I froze, listened, and heard humming. Low, casual, like whoever was in there had time. My brain tried to slap a normal label on it. Maintenance, wrong unit, I'm early, and none of it fit. I backed out to the hallway and checked the app. No active reservation, no maintenance, no late checkout, nothing. Then I pulled up the lock history because I'm not new and I don't trust anybody in this business. The lock history showed my entry, and then, 2 minutes earlier, another unlock from host. That wasn't me. That wasn't my phone. I stared at it until the numbers started to swim. Host is top access. Owner, co-host, whoever they add. It's supposed to be controlled. In that moment, it felt like a fucking public door with a private label. I should have left. I know that. But I also know how blame works. If I walk, I'm unreliable. And if anything goes missing later, it's suddenly my fault. So I walked back in because my brain still wanted an explanation and my wallet wanted a paycheck. I grabbed the heavy ceramic lamp off the console on the way because I'm not brave, I'm scared, and I needed weight in my hand. The shower shut off. The humming kept going for a second, like whoever it was didn't even care I'd heard them. The bathroom handle clicked and the door opened slow. A guy stepped out in a clean robe like he belonged. Not homeless, not frantic. Calm eyes. He looked at my cart, then at me, and smirked like I'd interrupted his routine. I told him to get out. He didn't argue. He just turned slightly, showing me the keypad through the open bedroom door. The code was taped on the inside of the closet door, written neatly on a sticky note with my handwriting style. I hadn't put it there. Someone copied it from my texts, or my planner, or my dumb habit of reusing numbers because it's easier when you're juggling 5 units a day. That sticky note hit me harder than the shower. It meant he didn't just stumble in. He studied. He matched. I felt my face go hot, and I said it again louder, get the fuck out. He took one step toward me instead, and his eyes dropped to my phone like it was the real prize. He moved like he'd already measured the hallway and knew exactly how close he could get before I'd break. I swung the lamp. It clipped his shoulder and shattered on the floor. Ceramic blew apart into white teeth and dust. He didn't scream. He didn't even swear. He lunged, grabbed my wrist, and tried to twist my phone out of my hand. His fingers felt practiced, like he'd learned how to control people without leaving marks, like he knew the angles that make your grip fail. My wrist lit up with pain, and my hand started to open against my will. I stomped his foot hard and felt something give. He hissed, but he didn't let go. I yanked my whole body back, ripped free, and my knuckles scraped on the broken lamp pieces. I ran out into the hallway screaming. Not a sentence, just noise. Neighbor doors cracked open like little eyes. Somebody shouted asking what the hell was happening. A guy in gym shorts leaned out, saw me bleeding, saw the row guy behind me, and still hesitated like he was waiting for a script. The guy stepped out behind me like a normal guest, hands up, face blank like I was the one who'd snapped. He held that calm for half a beat, read the hallway, and then slipped down the stairwell before anyone committed to stopping him. I started down after him for maybe 3 steps, and then I stopped because I'm not a hero and I'm not chasing a stranger into a concrete stairwell with nothing but a phone and adrenaline. I slammed my back against the opposite wall and called 911 with shaking hands, dropping the phone once because my fingers wouldn't listen. By the time the cops arrived, the hallway had gone quiet in that cowardly way crowds do. Doors closed again, people pretending they didn't see shit. The officers walked the unit like they expected to find a drunk guy in the wrong apartment. They asked if I knew him. They asked if maybe I had the wrong day. One of them said the word trespass like it was a nuisance complaint. I showed them my wrist, already bruising in a perfect thumbprint, and I showed them the lock log. That's when their faces changed. They stopped treating me like an overreacting cleaner and started asking the questions that actually matter. Who else had access? Did I ever share the code? Did I post it anywhere? Did I have an ex? Did I reuse the same code on other properties? They asked everything except the question I wanted answered. Why the hell can someone just move into your life because a keypad exists? They took photos of the sticky note and the broken lamp, wrote down the host, entry, and asked the building manager about cameras. There were none in the stairwell, of course. Just a dead lobby cam that pointed at the mailboxes and didn't record. So the guy in the row became a description on a form and a shrug in a hallway. The owner showed up late and pissed, like I'd ruined her afternoon. She stared at the broken lamp first, then my bloody knuckles, then the cops, and her face did this tight little calculation. She asked why I didn't handle it calmly. She asked if I'd scared away a guest. She asked if I'd texted the code to anyone. It turned into an argument right there, her voice getting sweet and sharp at the same time, trying to make me look irresponsible in front of the police. When they asked her who had host, access, she started listing names like she was reading a grocery list. Co-host, handyman, friend, boyfriend who set it up, somebody who checks the place sometimes, an old cleaner she still trusted. She didn't even know, not really. She just handed out access and never took it back. And then she turned on me because I was the easiest target. She kept pushing it, like if she talked fast enough the story would change. She said maybe I'd assaulted a legitimate guest, and now she had to protect herself. She said the man could sue, and then she looked straight at me and implied I'd be the one paying. I told her that's bullshit, and I showed the cops the log again, the host unlock, the sticky note, the rogue guy's thumbprint blooming on my wrist. One officer finally cut in and told her to stop trying to litigate in the hallway and go change her access codes. While he said it, a neighbor started complaining about the noise and the drama, like I'd scheduled it for fun. The cop told me to go get my wrist checked, to file the report online, to save screenshots because those logs sometimes disappear. That line alone made my stomach drop again. She nodded with that fake compliance people do, then leaned in close and hissed that I cost her money. She said I invited risk, said I was careless, said if the code got out it had to be through me because I'm in there all the time. I stood there shaking, nauseous, and I realized she wasn't scared about what happened. She was scared about her rating. Police told her to change the codes and audit access. She nodded like she'd do it, then looked at me like I was the liability. 2 days later, she sent a message blaming me for creating a dangerous situation and said damages would be deducted. She switched to a new co-host. She cut me off the calendar. I lost the gig. I tried to report it through the platform too, and it was the same bullshit loop. Upload evidence, wait, get a canned reply about safety, then nothing. Meanwhile, I was sitting at home, replaying the way his eyes tracked my phone, replaying that sticky note that looked like me, replaying the comm he wore like armor. I changed every password I had. I stopped reusing numbers. I started taking pictures of every door I touched like I could build armor out of proof. I kept thinking about the lock log. Host 2 minutes earlier. Not guest. Not unknown. Host. That means somebody with access let him in, or he became host somehow, or he stole it, or he bought it, or it was handed to him by someone who didn't give a shit. And that's what keeps me up, the feeling that he didn't break in. He checked in. A week later, the loft listing got a new review from a profile with no photo. Great place. Easy self-check-in. The rescue looked wholesome online. Photos, thank you posts, kids hugging puppies. The director, Marla, ran it like a religion. She praised me loud in group chats, called me family, pushed extra cases my way because I never said no. I was broke and lonely, and I liked the way people looked at you when you carried a scared dog out of a car like you were doing something good. So I kept saying yes. Midnight pickups, emergency fosters. I drove across town with a whining kennel in my back seat, then clocked in at my real job like nothing happened. Marla loved that. She'd tag me in posts, call me her rock, then DM me at 11 p.m. with another task and a little guilt ribbon tied around it. The one time I said I couldn't, my car was overheating, she replied with a single K. Next day in chat, she joked about people who want the praise but not the work. Nobody laughed out loud, but I felt the message land on me, and I swallowed my pride and kept working. Nothing felt wrong until the donations started getting specific. New leashes, but always used. Dog beds that smelled like bleach, like someone tried to erase a smell and just replaced it with chemicals. A box of collars with tags still on them. Names, numbers scratched out with a blade, not clipped. A harness with a half-peeled rabies sticker. A crate with duct tape residue, like it came out of a trunk. I held up one collar, and you could still see the first digit of a phone number under the scratch marks. I made a joke in the supply room about mystery donors. Marla's smile tightened, and she told me not to ask questions because people surrender in shame. Fine, I swallowed it. Then she started protecting privacy in ways that made my skin crawl. She stopped letting fosters meet adopters. She rerouted drop-offs to transport points and called it safer. Always a parking lot, always after dark, always last-minute changes. I'd sit in my car with a dog panting in the back, leash wrapped around my wrist, and she'd keep moving the goalposts. Different car, different time, different adopter. Once I pulled up and a guy in a hoodie came in my window, no carrier, no paperwork, just his hand out. I didn't hand over the leash. I told Marla I fell off. She snapped that I was being classist, that rescue wasn't a boutique, and that if I refused, I was delaying a dog's freedom. I caved. I hated myself for it. I started checking local missing pet posts because I couldn't stop myself. I'd see a poster that said, "Please, he's scared, he needs meds." Then a couple days later, we'd get donations that looked like they belonged to that exact dog. When I tried to bring it up, Marla snapped that Facebook was poison and I needed to stay off it. She said people fake missing pets for money. She said my job was to carry crates, not play detective. I remember standing there with a collar in my hand that still had dried mud packed into the buckle, feeling my face heat up like I was a kid getting scolded. I hated her for that minute. Then I still did the next pickup because that's what she trained us to do, move. The night it finally broke was over meds. We had an old lab mix in rotation, tumors, limp, on pain meds the clinic kept locked because people steal. After my shift, Marla texted me to grab a bag of return meds because the clinic messed up again and bring it to her garage for inventory. Not the rescue building, her house. I asked why she couldn't pick it up. She called immediately, voice sweet and tight, and told me she was slammed and I was the only one she could trust. Then she added, quieter, that the meds couldn't sit where anyone could take them and she didn't want extra eyes involved. I drove over anyway, tired, annoyed, trying to be helpful. Her garage door was half open, just enough to slip under. Light on, no car. I ducked in with the bag and stopped dead. The garage wasn't a garage. It was a sorting room. Stacks of identical plastic bins, for high, labeled by breed in thick marker. GSD, pit, doodle, small fluff. Shells of bag blankets. Leashes coiled like they'd been stripped off bodies. A trash can full of shredded tags and microchip pamphlets. The bleach smell was so strong it made my eyes water. Then I saw the corkboard. Printed screenshots of missing pet posts pinned in neat rows. Dates. Cross streets. Notes like owner alone. Walks after dark. No camera. Back gate sticks. There were grainy photos too, zoomed in like someone took them from a car. A woman clipping a leash, a yard latch circled, a porch with a light burned out. One printout had "call first" written beside it like a reminder. My brain tried to invent a harmless reason because that's what brains do when the truth is too ugly. It didn't stick. It felt like planning. Against the wall were cages. Clean, empty, identical, lined up like storage. No toys, no names, just numbers and times written on paper tags. Times like pickup windows. My stomach dropped. On a folding table sat a clipboard. Intake forms with my foster dog's names on them. Under outcome, the word transfer circled in red, heavy, with times that didn't match any shelter appointment. Under it, a second sheet. Addresses, pickup addresses, drop addresses, near like a route list. My address was on it. Full, correct, apartment number. Like I was a stop. Next to it, in a margin, someone had written alone and underlined it. I couldn't breathe right. I stood there too long, and then I heard a door click behind me. Marla didn't yell. She didn't act caught. She acted irritated, like I'd opened her fridge without asking. She stepped between me and the exit and told me I was confused and emotional, like she was labeling me for a file. Then she reached for my phone like she was grabbing a tool. I slapped her hand away. She grabbed my wrist hard, nails digging in, and hissed that I'd signed waivers, that I'd ruined the rescue, that nobody would believe me over her. She told me I'd stolen meds by walking in with that bag. She said she could call the cops and say I attacked her. She leaned in and said she had cameras, even though I didn't see any. She started firing off little facts like bullets, how I'd been late once, how a dog slipped a harness on my watch, how she had screenshots, how she'd already told people I was stressed. I yanked free and bolted to my car, heart kicking my ribs, hands shaking so bad I dropped my keys twice. I called the police and told them what I saw. They showed up, knocked, and she smiled them away with charity sweet bullshit. She told them I was a volunteer who misunderstood and got aggressive. They asked me if I'd taken photos. I hadn't. I was too busy not throwing up. They said they couldn't do much without evidence and warned me about trespassing issues, even though her garage was open and she told me come. By the time anyone talked about a warrant, the garage looked like a normal garage. Bins gone, board gone, cages gone. Clean floor. Stored lawn chairs. A perfect lie. Next day, the group chat posted that I was unstable and unsafe. Marla wrote a long message about protecting the rescue from volatile people and posted cropped screenshots of my messages, so I looked like a liar spiraling. She also hinted I'd violated confidentiality and endangered adopters, which is the fastest way to turn animal people into a firing squad. My inbox filled with volunteers telling me to get help, to stop lying, to stop trying to destroy good people. One called me a bitch. Another said I should be reported to every shelter in the county. I watched the dog I'd fostered get transferred to a new home that didn't exist in any public listing. No adoption photo, no name, just a spreadsheet update and then silence. I tried the phone number on the transfer note once. It rang, then went to a generic voicemail with no name. I changed locks, even though my landlord acted like I was dramatic. I stopped fostering. I deleted old posts because they showed my balcony and the stupid mural across the street. I started checking my hallway before I unlocked my door. I stopped answering unknown numbers. Twice my doormat sat crooked like someone nudged it. Once my neighbor's dog went off at my door at 2 a.m. like somebody stood there, and when I looked through the peephole, there was nothing but the buzzing light. I kept thinking about that underlined alone. I try to warn people anyway. A lost pet group told me I needed proof and then muted me when I got angry. The clinic went cold after Marla called them first and painted me as unstable. The cops had my report number and nothing else. That's the part that eats me alive. How fast she flipped the story and how easy it was for everyone to swallow it because her version was comforting. Mom meant something ugly was happening right under their noses. I changed locks. I stopped fostering. I still see Marla's posts sometimes, smiling with a puppy, and I think about how easy it is to hide a fucking hunting operation behind saving something.